Hello and welcome to Why Wasn't It Better? I'm your host, Patrick Darms.
And I'm your co-host, Anton Paras.
Before they were enemies, they were brothers. Or at least that's what Transformers 1 wants you to believe. This week on Why Wasn't It Better, we dive into the animated origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron. Is this movie the fresh start the franchise needed? Or just another botched reboot in disguise? Tune in as we ask why wasn't it better. And joining us for today's discussion of Transformers 1 is longtime friend of the show and guest, Kai Wang. Welcome back, sir.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Hey, Kai, how you been?
Good, man. How about you guys?
Never better.
Splendid. Splendid. And especially splendid because you're on, Kai. Really excited to have you back.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I love this movie, and I can't wait to talk about it with you guys.
You have been enthused for this movie in a way that you usually are not. Sometimes I've had to talk you into appearing on the pod, Kai, but not this time.
Not this one.
Watching movies is fun, gentlemen. Talking about them can be even more fun.
Absolutely.
This is a pretty special selection. This is a Patreon episode, Anton. We did one earlier this season, right? Doctor Strange?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you for confirming that. I was 98% sure that was it.
And I'm that 2% extra you needed.
That's why you're the perfect co-host. I realized belatedly, I often ask questions on the pod to you and the guests that I probably should know the answer to. And I should have looked up the information before, but that's where the co-host thing
I was going to say that's called it's called a conversation, and it works out naturally for audio format,
right? Video
show.
Format, whatever. Well, you know how it is. Like, sometimes I like to be like a lawyer. Like, I'm hosting the podcast. I should probably know the things that I'm asking about.
Well, we can't know everything, and who knows?
True.
Maybe there's a little gem here and there.
Yes. If we get anything wrong, we know that people on YouTube will correct us.
Yeah. Gem here and there, allspark here or there.
Look, we're not perfect. We don't have access to the matrix of leadership for now. We're still looking. So, yes, this week's discussion is Transformers 1. No, we're not talking about the 2007 Michael Bay film. We are talking about a film called Transformers 1 that came out about a year ago. And if you're listening to this episode after it releases, me saying about a year ago means nothing. I'm talking about the year of our Lord 2024. Once upon a time, Optimus Prime and Megatron were friends, bonded like brothers who managed to change the fate of the Cybertron planet forever. This is their untold origin story before they ended up becoming bitter opponents. The film's tagline is "Witness the Origin." Transformers 1 was released on September 20th, 2024 by Paramount Animation, Hasbro Entertainment, New Republic Pictures, D. Bonaventura Pictures, and Bayhem Films. Directed by Josh Cooley, the screenplay was written by Eric Pearson, Andrew Barrer, and Gabriel Ferrari, based on Hasbro's Transformers, featuring the voices of Chris Hemsworth, Brian Tyree Henry, Scarlett Johansson, Keegan-Michael Kay, Steve Buscemi, Lawrence Fishburne, and John Hamm. The budget was $75 million, and the box office was only $129 million. The film has a very stellar 89% Rotten Tomatoes score. Kai, as the guest, you already said you love this movie, but why did you pick this? I mean, you told us we had to cover this.
I did. The reason I wanted to cover this is because based on online discourse and like my own personal experience with like seeing trailers for this movie, I had a fear that not enough people knew about this movie. And I think in a previous podcast or like during a prior conversation, I don't think you guys had seen it, I could understand it because the trailer looked like really goofy. And I didn't see the trailer enough either. I think the algo might have picked up that I like Transformers because I'm like looking at the toys a lot. But I don't think none of my friends IRL have seen this movie either, by the way. And the only reason I saw it was because I was just scrolling Paramount Plus one day and I saw that it was free and I was like, all right, I got nothing to do right now, so let me kill 2 hours with this. And it turned out to be one of the best movies I've seen, actually. Not just animated, just like one of the best movies, period.
You were a Transformers fan to begin with, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Anton, this ended up being a happy coincidence for us because not only did Kai make, I think, a great choice for the pod here, but we've done this a few times in the past where we will cover a film about a year after it comes out. You know, rarely do we cover new films on this pod, but we have kind of accidentally gotten into the habit of covering new films a year removed from their release, which gives us and others some perspective in terms of what their legacy may become.
So this was perfectly planned.
Yes. I like to think that everything happens for a reason, and Kai made sure of that with this film. He's right, Anton. I was vaguely aware of this when it was coming out. I saw the trailer for this when I went to the theater last year, which I guess would have been to see Inside Out 2. I think that's where I saw the trailer for this, and I thought it looked stupid. It looked like some dumb kids movie.
That's exactly the impression that I got when I saw the trailer also. So I don't think anyone can be blamed for thinking that and passing based on the trailer. They really dropped the ball with the marketing on this one.
Anton, you didn't have any interest in seeing this either when it was coming out, right?
When I heard the trailer music for it, I did not have very high hopes.
It didn't help, did it?
No, I mean, it sparked in me the same dissatisfaction as all of the pop music that ended up being in the Super Mario movie. It's just, this is all meant to support this music that's probably part of the library. Everyone's just trying to make a buck. And especially for a franchise like Transformers, there's a lot of skepticism from fans.
There's a lot of skepticism from those who are not fans like myself. I'm not a Transformers fan. It's not to say that I don't like Transformers. It was never something I was into. I saw Beast Wars a little bit as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And, I saw the original cartoon, or Kai actually checked me on this because
Transformers Armada.
I think it was probably that, because just doing the research for this episode, I didn't realize how many different versions of Transformers there are. I don't know how anyone would keep track of all these.
Yeah, back in like the 90s and the 2000s, they were like rebooting it every so often with like a new like animated series.
What, so, every 5 years pretty much that something else would come out?
I think it was every 2 to 3 years because like you said, there was like Beast Wars, Beast Machines after that, then another animated Transformers that wasn't 3D, and then there was Armada, and then there was
Energon.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, just a whole bunch. But Armada was the one that I grew up on because that was like my prime, like loving toys and like loving cartoons age, and yeah, that just really I had a lot. I have a lot of I had a lot of Armada toys growing up.
Most of my experience with Transformers, I would say, came from the Michael Bay films.
Fair, probably for a lot of people as well.
Right.
Right. Makes sense.
I was pleasantly surprised by the first one, and, well, I don't want to be too harsh on them, but I would say they slowly devolved into some of the worst films that I've ever seen in my life.
But did you have fun watching them?
No.
Oh.
I did not. I didn't even see all of them. I think I stopped watching it during the fourth one.
Is that Age of Extinction?
I don't know. It had Mark Wahlberg in it, though.
Okay, yeah, that was either Age of Extinction or Last Night.
Mm-hmm.
Whichever one you're referring to, it was the one where they were trying to pass Mark Wahlberg off as an inventor.
Yes, that was Age of Extinction.
Okay, yes. That's one of the worst movies that I've ever not made. I didn't finish it. I shut it off.
Here's what I'll say about the Bayformers movies. I personally like them, and I actually watch them like once a year, but only because they're so ridiculous and the CGI still really holds up. It's kind of like if I think too hard about what they're doing and like the story, it's like what am I watching? But the 5-year-old in me just like really likes them, the robots beating up on each other.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the appeal, and like I will defend the first Transformers movie. It's almost a candidate, Anton, for why wasn't it worse? Because I had no expectations when I went to see that movie, and it was actually pretty entertaining.
Yeah, and just based on the success of the first one alone, you could argue that truly carried a lot of the success of people going in to see the rest of the Transformers films, despite, varying quality.
How many films were there before this? 6, 7?
Dude, I'm going to go ahead and say there were...
I think, right?
There were 7, because you have Transformers...
Dark of the Moon.
Yeah, I believe 7.
Yeah, Dark of the Moon.
Revenge of the Fallen.
Yeah. Age of Extinction. Vacation. Last Night, and then Bumblebee, and then Rise of the Beast.
That's 7, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds right. Needless to say, Kai, your selection intrigued me because you had such nice things to say about this. What episode were we recording when you first touted this to us?
I think I had just seen it around the time I saw Moonraker, and we were talking about that.
Okay.
Was it that, or was it Final Fantasy?
It couldn't have been that long ago because this only came out a year ago.
Yeah, this came out in September, so...
Oh,
yeah,
wait, was it the Pokemon movie?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Yeah.
Or Annihilation? Again, I should probably know this, but I don't. It's my podcast, but I don't remember.
Either way, we're
fine.
we're excited to talk some Transformers today.
We are. I was fascinated by this because it completely flopped at the box office, and then you look at the receipts for the other films. Most of them did really well. A couple of them made over $1 billion. I mean, these were massive movies at one point. So I'm like, what happened? How did this go wrong? Because this didn't, I mean, this was just completely ignored when it came out a year ago. We weren't the only ones who saw the trailer and said no thanks. Anton, let's find out what happened.
Let's do it. Let's transform and roll out into this next production history.
Following the release of Transformers Age of Extinction in 2014, Paramount tasked Akiva Goldsman to work with Michael Bay, executive producer Steven Spielberg, and producer Lorenzo Di Bonaventura to set up a writer's room to create ideas for future films. Akiva Goldsman is somehow an Academy Award-winning screenwriter. He also is responsible for writing Batman and Robin. Just let that sink in. We've talked about him before, I think. What else did he write, Anton, that we lampooned?
I mean, he's been attached to so much Star Trek, and we've talked about Star Trek and him.
Huh, yeah.
But then, of course, Da Vinci Code.
That's it, Da Vinci Code. Yeah, we were clowning on him. Andrew Barrer and Gabriel Ferrari signed on as writers. In August of 2017, it was reported that an animated Transformers film was officially in the works and that it would serve as a prequel focusing on the Autobot-Decepticon conflict that began on Cybertron. At one point, the title was reported to be Transformers: A New Generation.
So former Pixar animator and filmmaker Josh Cooley had been hired to direct the film and was overseeing the script by Barrer and Ferrari. When Cooley joined the project, Hasbro gave him a Bible that covered the lore for the entire franchise. He wanted to capture an, quote, epic quality and grand scale for the film and use Transformers the movie and Dune as points of reference. The relationship between Optimus Prime and Megatron and the tragedy of their falling out is the emotional core of the film. For Cooley, it was important to show that Megatron was not just a villain. He wanted people who did not know Transformers to come into the film and not be able to immediately pick out who was going to be good or bad. As a reference to his previous origin story, the film originally included a scene depicting Megatron as a gladiator. To have him and Optimus Prime come from completely different backgrounds. Due to runtime constraints, the idea was scrapped and they were both made to be co-workers in the mines instead. Industrial Light and Magic, who had provided the visual effects for the first 6 live-action Transformers installments, returned to provide the animation for the film. And Rob Coleman, who had been previously nominated for an Oscar for his work on Attack of the Clones, served as animation supervisor. The designs of the Transformers were heavily influenced by those of Generation 1. Art Deco was a major influence on the production design. The film did really well critically, failed to make much of an impact at the box office. The budget was reported anywhere from $75 to $147 million. Even if you count for the lower number, this only made $59 million in North America and didn't turn a profit.
And unfortunately, Hasbro stated recently that there will be no sequel.
That's criminal.
Should have been a trilogy. But that's what they're aiming for, right? But
well, let's talk about that then. Why wasn't it better? Or why didn't it succeed? What I want to start the discussion with is the state of the franchise going into this film in 2024 and what came before it. Because I think this is a big part of it.
So are you trying to say, how did the Transformers franchise transform?
Exactly what I'm trying to say. By the time this film came out, the series in general, in terms of at least the movies, I'm not talking about the toys or anything that I haven't seen on TV, right?
Right.
That's a separate part of it. But in terms of the film series, it was going the wrong way financially, and it had been for some time. Each film was experiencing diminishing returns at the box office. I'll just walk you both through the series and how they perform. So the first movie comes out in 2007, makes $750 million.
Impressive.
Huge amount of money. Revenge of the Fallen comes out 2 years later in 2009. It makes $800 million. The next couple movies, Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction, 2011, 2013, they both top $1 billion. So this is like the peak, right? The fifth film, The Last Night, big drop off, only makes $600 million. Bumblebee comes out a couple years after that. It only makes $400 million. Rise of the Beasts, that had been released the year before this one, Transformers 1, and it did not do well. It made $400 million on a $200 million budget. So that's basically a flop, right, Anton?
Yeah, just
Pretty much.
Especially compared to what it was trending at. Isn't that crazy?
It is.
Huge drop off.
But this is part of the reason why I had no interest in this film when I saw the trailer. It wasn't just that the trailer was goofy. It's that sort of like how I would look at a Marvel film. Someone who's a casual fan like myself, I'm looking at this, I'm like, there hasn't really been a Transformers movie I've liked in a long time.
Yeah, so distill a little bit of fatigue. Little bit. I mean, Kai, being a big fan of Transformers, do you feel like even you felt like there was a bit of fatigue in the air?
Absolutely. I would say it started around like Transformers 4, Age of Extinction. That was like, I still like that movie, but that was where I was like, all right, this is kind of getting out of hand. And then The Last Night is like a truly horrible movie. Even I wouldn't rewatch that one. And then they kind of did like a soft reboot and made Bumblebee like a main character, which I don't know about other people, but I personally was like not really into it. Like, I'd rather see like Optimus Prime on screen most of the time, not like his sidekick. And then I didn't think Rise of a Beast was a very good movie either. I actually haven't revisited that one. I just don't think it's very good at all.
I mean, I got teased into really wanting to see Optimus Primal IRL.
Oh yeah, no, he was in the movie for like 5 minutes maybe.
Yeah, not enough.
Yeah.
That's basically Beast Wars, right?
Oh yeah, it was finally like all the '90s kids were excited to see.
Yeah,
some,
no,
Beast Wars.
we all thought it was going to be Beast Wars, but with like real life CGI, and then it was just like it was just like 90s New York Transformers, like hip hop.
No, it was another Pepsi commercial. That's all it was.
Yeah, and then they did that weird like am I crazy, or did they try to tie in G.I. Joe into it at the end?
That's right. That's right. There's a little bit of a tie-in there.
Like what?
The G.I. Joe film series from the 2010s?
I don't think it's that specifically. I think they were hinting that there might be another one and that it might cross over with Transformers.
Well, I can let Paramount know now that won't happen.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
That was a funny film series. We haven't talked about it much, but talk about like completely just killing off the cast of the first film and the beginning of the second film.
Random fact for you, Anton. I somehow have G.I. Joe The Rise of Cobra on Blu-ray, and to this day I have no memory of buying it, so I don't know how I have it.
Yeah, that one's weird. Huh.
It wasn't even a thing. You know, like maybe in our younger years, you'd be out late at a bar, and the next day you'd be like, oh, I bought something on Amazon last night.
And you're just like,
we've all done it, right?
Right, but you're like, this isn't mine. Not the worst thing that you could accidentally buy.
Depends on how much money I spent.
That's true.
That movie ain't worth much.
You get really disappointed. You found out you bid like $50 on it on eBay.
I checked eBay as well. It didn't come from there.
Okay.
Funny enough, I don't hate that movie. It's not good.
I just think the character design is just so poor, those live action ones, except for Storm Shadow.
He was good. Yeah. I mean, let's face it, it's a bad movie, but I kind of have a soft spot for it.
Yeah. Well, we'll revisit it, won't we?
Oh, so you're saying you want to cover it?
I think it'd be fun because it's like what we're already entering. We haven't really talked about like toy lines as so much, but like
we could.
This is an iconic toy line.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe, of course, iconic toy line.
All right, you sold me.
I mean, given enough time and resources, eventually all movies will be covered by this series.
It's very possible. Our list just topped 1,000 films.
It's a lot of films.
So we're at this point, we are adding films to the list faster than we can record these episodes. So it's possible we may never run out of material, Anton, and we are recording this till the day we're both in retirement homes.
Fair enough.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm also okay with it. Back to Transformers. I mean, look, it's clear that people saw through it, and the quality did not stay consistent, and the fatigue was in the air. But hey, what does Hollywood love to do when a film needs a bit of a boost, right? Just kind of a reboot or a revival.
That's what this was. But again, it didn't have a lot of momentum going for it with the franchise. And from the trailer, which we can talk about now with the marketing, that's the next reason why this wasn't better. I wasn't sure if this was directed by Michael Bay or not. And I was so put off by what he was doing with the series prior to this. One of my reactions was, oh, Transformers, another Michael Bay movie. I'm good.
I don't think anyone's going to blame you for that.
He directed 5 of these movies. Talk about staying at the poker table too long.
Yeah, it's nuts because Michael Bay, for everything that we're saying with how the Transformers films have not stayed quite as fresh. Really interesting name in Hollywood, because I think that everyone has their expectations for a Michael Bay film at this point.
He's done some good stuff. I'm not a Michael Bay hater. I'm not, he do you know he has a couple films that were selected by the Criterion Collection?
Well, the thing about Michael Bay is he can exceed those expectations, and I think you're touching on that now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like his first couple films from the 90s. I like the first Transformers. It might be it, but we're not talking about Michael Bay with this film because he only really sort of co-produced this.
It's Steven Spielberg, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Spielberg's name is attached to it, but
we wouldn't at least get the momentum of interest enough from the studio if it weren't for his film. So I think we do have to give some credit.
Yeah, for sure. But when it comes to the marketing of this, we have been touching on this already. Man, this trailer was awful.
It's so trash.
It looks like a stupid kids movie. And it's more than that. I mean, there's no spoilers here. All 3 of us are going to speak quite highly of this film. It's not a stupid kids movie.
It's a fantastic movie. For any age, I would argue.
It reminds me of the quality of animated films that you expect, like Ghibli, in terms of you can tell a good story. It can transcend whether or not it's a medium usually meant for kids. It's just really well done. Now, everything that I just said, I'm sure studio execs were like, how do we put that into an ad? Let's just put Start Me Up by the Rolling Stones and put that up against some really interesting visual gags.
I'm assuming they fired whoever made the trailer,
or they gave them a raise and said, you're going to work on these next Paramount films.
Who were they trying to market this to besides, because the trailer makes it clear only kids will like this film.
Look, it's kids. It's just kids. Kids that maybe have no idea about Transformers.
Wouldn't they know from the success of the previous films that a lot of adults would be interested in this too?
Well, you would think, but I'm looking at for example, some of the promos that they had tied to Transformers 1, and it's just this was aimed at kids and then parents of young kids, because it's what were the tie-ins? SpaghettiOs, Ziploc sandwich bags, a bunch of just kid snacks, school folders, so makes sense from there.
Lunchables?
I don't know if they landed the Lunchables.
Just a guess.
Yeah.
I would also say that for any franchise to survive, you have to at some point start focusing on bringing in younger audiences, and I think that's probably what they were trying to do here. And then they might have marketed the way they did because they assumed that adult fans would just go see it regardless, and they were really trying hard to get kids to be like, oh, I want to go see that. That would be my understanding of what happened.
That makes sense. And I also wonder if they weren't looking at kind of what we were assessing, which is, well, the last couple movies are going in the wrong direction, box office wise. Let's try to change up the marketing strategy. I mean, obviously that blew up in their face, but
yeah, on some weird level of logic that what they were trying to do actually made sense. You look at a movie like Minecraft, which is pretty much exclusively for kids, and that shit that shit did really well at the box office, right? So
yeah, no doubt.
How much money has that made?
$1 billion.
It made $1 billion?
Yeah,
wow, okay.
Actually over $1 billion. We can double check it right now.
I went to go see Warfare opening weekend, which came out the same weekend as Minecraft, and it was 90% children in the theaters wearing Minecraft hats.
Okay, I'm a little short 954 million.
What was the budget? Like 200?
Like 150, but I'm sure
Wow,
it
that's
ranges.
a
I'm
great
sure it
return.
ranges.
That's a great return.
Hey, it's the Jack Black equation.
That's maybe a movie we'll cover in like 500 episodes, so I don't have to watch it anytime soon.
Yeah, but no, I think you're totally spot on, Kai. It's like this is you can't just do a revival necessarily for the fans. Even if it is something with a large fan base, there has to be something that's digestible for younger viewers to get into it. I mean, they did it with a TV series, right? It's why do you introduce Armada or Energon? It's just to get a new generation hooked.
So I think we can explain very clearly why it flopped, because they need to fire whoever marketed this.
It was posed as just a silly kids film.
What they could have done if they wanted to go that route of like trying to bring in younger audiences was have a version that runs alongside like PG movies that's just for them, and then have a version that's like, you know, more adult focused with like darker themes and whatever, and just more interesting, because the trailer, no one can watch the trailer and have any idea of like how good the movie actually is.
And even then too, I feel like this is just part of the same trend of Hollywood trailers just being very poor nowadays. I mean, I just think that this is a symptom of that, and it's not the first time I think that I've seen a trailer and just did not get excited. We were just talking about too, Pat, like Pixar film trailers are pretty terrible nowadays.
Elio, the newest Pixar movie, not a very good trailer.
How close was it at all to capturing what the film was about from your perspective, real quick?
Plot-wise, I think it was accurate, but it didn't do anything to get its target audience excited for it.
It's not selling it, right?
No, it's really interesting because some movies the trailer hooks you in and sometimes it doesn't. And look, I guess it's subjective in a way, but when a film flops this badly, I think objectively you can point to the trailer and how it was marketed for sure. But now let's talk about the positives. There are many here, and I will start with a statement for you both. This is the best Transformers movie I've ever seen.
Did you ever see Transformers the movie?
Yes.
It was way better than that.
Yeah,
but, that was probably the closest thing to like a more serious adult Transformers film, which this really reminded me of.
Oh yeah, I got a crazy take. You guys ready for it?
Yeah,
Yes,
please.
Of course.
To me, Transformers 1 is the equivalent in terms of like an animated movie to The Matrix. I think it's that good. And if you look at the storyline, there's a lot of similarities between them too.
Go on.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
I can really see that.
Yeah, so think about like two people who have lived a lie their whole lives being offered a choice when they see like what's really happening. And this actually explores how two almost identical people make very different choices and become who they are.
So Megatron's Mr. Smith.
Exactly.
I like it. And then there's the whole resurrection scene, just like in The Matrix.
Yep. Yeah, we got the betrayal.
To be fair, I think both things come from a very biblical source material.
Yeah.
But I think philosophically, like, you're totally on the nose, Kai.
Yeah. I think it's all about like finding yourself and like what do you do when your life falls apart.
And listeners, if you haven't seen Transformers 1 yet, yes, this film does get that deep. Like, it's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing how much more nuanced this film is than I expected, than I think anyone expected.
Also, I want to add that in one movie, this movie captures in a way better way how one person can like fall to the quote unquote dark side way better than it took 3 movies to make Anakin fall to the dark side.
Yeah, I do take for granted just this expectation of, oh, Megatron, he's a bad guy, he's a baddie, and like you just I've just always accepted it.
I think as like media evolves, like we're gonna continue to see like more and more nuanced characters. Like we're definitely not in the age of like, oh yeah, I'm just bad for the sake of being bad. And I actually want to talk about Transformers Armada for a second, because I feel like that's where we really started to see this in like Transformers. Like Megatron and his cronies in that were like not bad just to be bad. Like they genuinely just wanted the best for all like robots, and they just, him and Optimus Prime just had different ways of like going about it. And I also want to point out that Armada has the best, probably the best rendition of Starscream. He's not like he's still a little bitch and a coward, but he He's just so much deeper. He's just so much deeper than that. And like, yeah, if you haven't seen Armada, I would highly recommend it.
Also, the best combos with Ultra Magnus and Optimus Prime.
Oh, also the mini cons.
Dude, mini cons.
That shit blew my mind.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, very high praise. Pat, I'm sure you agree with that high praise. This is the quality is unexpected. The expectations to results of the actual quality of this film is insane.
Yeah, I mean, I did not expect much from this. The primary reason why I watched it is because I selected it and made enough of a case for it that I wanted to see it. And well, for me, I think the main reason why I think it was successful is, yes, the story gets quite deep in parts and has some nuanced characters. And oh, by the way, they very much reminded me of Charles Xavier and Magneto.
MLK and Malcolm X also.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But the reason why I think this worked so well for me is there's no humans in it, and this is the perfect use of animation. To me, Transformers always worked best when it was animated. The live action stuff that I saw had their moments and they were entertaining, but this was not burdened by any human characters, and it wasn't burdened by any of those goofy moments that got shoved into the Michael Bay films. For my money, Transformers clearly works better when it's animated. And fully committing to animation, clearly the right move here. I mean, unfortunately, this film didn't make money, so I'm sure the studio would look at this and say, well, that was a mistake to go back to animation. But for what I want out of a movie, and not even being a Transformers fan, this is so clearly the right way to go.
Yeah, it's such a interesting paradox. The more quality or the more nuance the film becomes, if I feel like it becomes harder for the studio to market it. And for example, it's probably harder, like even just using like the Minecraft example, that being live action with a mix of animation or CGI in the mix, it probably is easier for kids to grasp onto even the trailer, the excitement, because they immediately recognize like who Jack Black is or who Jason Momoa is. They may not recognize, for example, the names of the people attached to the very famous voice actors in this work. Maybe they know who the Transformers are, but if they're aiming for the actor, or if they're aiming to push who the actors are, kids may not recognize the names. So I feel like the quality of the film is there. It's just I can see from the studio's perspective of how do we really sell this with this other side of the difficulty of animation versus live action.
The other part of that is setting this completely on Cybertron. I said earlier, you weren't burdened by any humans. That goes with there's no Earth setting. I was immediately sucked into this, like having, very little knowledge of the Transformers, like lore in the universe. I'm like, oh, it's on Cybertron? That's really cool.
I was going to say, I love how in the previous films, Cybertron, any like either flashbacks or like thoughts of it was just a hellscape.
It looked terrible. Yeah, it looked so uninteresting.
Just robots getting shot left and right on Cybertron. Because we really only were introduced during any war on Cybertron.
Right. Which I assume if they were to ever make sequels to this film, you would see a bit more of that. Josh Cooley, who directed this, you mentioned his vision for the film earlier, how he wanted people who did not know Transformers to come into the film and not be able to immediately pick out who was going to be good or bad. I think he succeeded at doing that. Me having no knowledge of it, I had an idea of that Orion would become Optimus Prime, but I really did not know that him and Megatron had this good relationship before they became enemies. So I was completely invested in this friendship that they built up in the first half of the film, and I thought it was just so successful in terms of how it was written and directed that way.
Man, interesting thought. Was the quality of this movie really good because it just already had a really great story behind it, and all they had to do was follow the footsteps?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they still had to execute on it, obviously, but
yeah, but it would have been really easy to just say, well, let's change this and that, and they did change some elements, but It is really great, compelling source material.
That's a question I was going to ask both of you later. Is like, is this pretty faithful to the original story?
Not that I know. As far as I know, they weren't actually like Megatron and Optimus Prime weren't like best buds. I think the actual official background is that like I'm pretty sure like Optimus Prime was like a librarian or like something white collar, and Megatron was like some blue collar worker. And yeah,
It,
I think that's what the actual origin is.
from my memory, they were not from the same class, but they were still friends. And while Optimus Prime was not happy with how certain classes were treated in Cybertron, Megatron took it to an extreme, and that's why Optimus had to take the other side of things. So still very close. I mean, I really do enjoy, like, Kai, did you ever read like the Marvel comics?
No, are they good?
Yeah, they're super, like, they're really, really good. They're way more in depth and also surprisingly way more brutal than the G1 series, obviously. Highly recommend.
Wait, even more brutal than like Bayformer's Optimus?
Not, well, actually, there's some lines where there was one just straight up Transformers assassin, and like different characters were getting like just killed in each issue. And just like, yeah, just in terms of the brutality, like it was way more intense in the Marvel series.
Gotcha.
But to kind of go back to it, it is amazing that the source material is so strong. They did have to execute on it, versus if this was set on Earth, for example, they would have had to have a scene where Shia LaBeouf's character goes to college and gets seduced by a robot, right?
I'm convinced they only have like humans in it because it's too expensive to just CGI the entire thing to make it look lifelike.
Well, that, and how else are you going to have like the leading lady of the 2000s, Megan Fox, in it?
That's the title you're bestowing upon her, leading lady of the 2000s.
It's the most gracious like title I can bestow upon Megan Fox, because how accurate is it, right?
She's not the problem with those movies, I suppose, would be another point.
Yeah.
She's fine in them. I mean, she's fine.
Yeah, no, she's fine in them. I mean, of course I jest, but I think actually that's even like another kind of that supports the theory of even why there's a bit more hesitancy with animation versus live action. Live action, you can sell like the looks of Megan Fox. You have this film, and you have Scarlett Johansson, but can't really tell it's Scarlett Johansson.
Right. Other than the recognizable voice. No,
I think
a kid is not going to know that. She wasn't even supposed to originally be in the film.
Yep.
She was brought in by Chris Hemsworth.
Her good friend Thor was
Right.
like, let me call Black Widow.
Not a bad idea if you can get her. Look, the box office numbers obviously speak for themselves, but I would want to see more Transformers like this. And it's a shame that I'm not, because I really thought pretty much every part of the story was well told. I mean, obviously, I think the villain in some cases is more interesting than the hero. Megatron's transition from D16 into the character that would become Megatron, I thought it was really cool to watch unfold. So I rewatched this a couple times in the past few weeks to prep for this. It's a really great character arc from him. Not even just when his eyes turn from yellow to red, right? But his motivations are there the whole time. He's always making extreme statements, even going back to the beginning of the film. And rewatching it becomes more satisfying because you know what's going to happen to him. His arc is, I think, my favorite thing about the film, and just watching his friendship change with Optimus over time.
So it's almost this instead of like a hero's arc, this villain's arc is just so compelling. But even on the flip side, I think that you do see it feels earned for both. You feel you feel like Optimus earns becoming Optimus Prime, and you feel like truly a villain has accepted their role as Megatron. Quote villain, because it does such a good job of showing their perspectives on each side of things.
Much like with Magneto, you don't condone what Megatron is doing, but you understand why he is doing it. You understand why he's so bitter, and he's so hurt and betrayed by what happens when he finds out the truth about Sentinel, that it just breaks him.
Yeah. I also want to point out too, his change over the movie is actually pretty subtle. Like throughout the movie, his eyes they're yellow, and then in the middle it's orange, and then at the end when he looks up it's red. So it's kind of like a very gradual thing.
What's the best part of the film? It's their showdown, right? At the end.
I was gonna say, in my opinion, it was probably when they get their cogs and then they all become like reborn.
I was gonna say, yeah, Optimus getting the faceplate.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
Actually, I just thought about what my favorite moment is. When Sentinel is punching the shit out of Starscream and the gigantic gun comes out of his arm and he didn't even realize he could do that. And it even like shocks him.
Oh, you mean Megatron punching him?
Yeah, sorry, Megatron.
Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah,
sorry. That's
yeah.
my bad. Yeah, you hit the gun comes out of his arm and it surprises him. He didn't know he could do that. It's really great animation.
Yeah.
Because if his face changes, it's great stuff.
Yeah, because at that point they hadn't all figured out how their transformations worked yet.
Right.
Yeah, I do feel bad that I judged a book by its cover so hard. I watched the trailer, I heard the really bad pop music, and I even looked at how the Transformers looked in the trailer and thought to myself, this doesn't look like them. That doesn't look like Optimus Prime. Like, this is so goofy. And it all gets flipped on its head by the end. Like, you see the iconic moments. You see, oh yeah, okay, that's the Optimus Prime I know, or that's the Megatron I know. Visually, stylistically, even with a little bit of a different flair. It's nuts how satisfying this is for like longtime Transformers fans. And then I'm sure like that those are moments that are going to stick with fans that have just been introduced to the series.
Yeah. Oh, I also wanted to add, I really like the Iacon 5000 scene. It reminds me of pod racing.
Now this is pod racing. Anton, don't feel bad. They did a terrible job selling this. They did.
Yeah, just
I think we all judged it properly. What they were selling to us, this was not what it was.
Yeah, and it feels just so unfortunate because of my take and like my perception, in the same way that a lot of people had probably a lot of similar thoughts after seeing the trailer. No one went out to see it, and that was a nail in the coffin for any Transformers 1 sequel.
There were so many moments for me without having the context of there like these payoff. They would set things up and then there would be a payoff, and I thought it was just brilliant stuff. Sentinel, I mean, they didn't really disguise the fact that Sentinel would turn. You know, he's presented to the audience as kind of a sleazebag.
Yeah, anyone who knows Transformers lore and knows the name Sentinel Prime would know what he's up to.
I didn't though, but even me, I was like, well, he's obviously going to turn out to be a traitor. Still a fun character, and there's a couple moments I felt weren't perfect, but I understand why they needed to do it. Like when Optimus opposes Megatron killing Sentinel, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, he was killing Transformers in the film previously. He obviously had no issue doing that, but I understand why he didn't want to execute.
I also think it was more of like I was defending myself in those times. Now, right now, he's clearly crawling away and defenseless.
I know why they did it. They had to set him up as the White Knight.
Yeah.
Bumblebee killing all those people when he learns that he has knife hands is pretty funny.
He's a menace.
He is a menace. I didn't realize that was going to be Bumblebee other than the yellow, because he loses the ability to speak at some point. Is that true?
That was only for Bayformers. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Yeah. I don't know why, but like they like that now, so they just do it to every Bumblebee iteration now. Hopefully they don't do it to this one. Or I mean, there's not going to be another one, so it doesn't really matter. But I really enjoy Keegan-Michael Kay as Bumblebee.
The voice acting was great. That's another thing I wanted to ask you two Transformers films. Like, how did you feel about them replacing Peter Cullen?
Well, he can't voice him forever, so I figure there isn't really going to be a good time to do it, and I feel like they did really well with this one.
Yeah.
Like, I think Chris Hemsworth is good as Optimus Prime. Like, I wasn't expecting to like him as it, but when I heard his voice, I was like, hey, you know what? This kind of works.
Yeah, same sentiment. I think that these iconic voice actors it's impossible to replace them, but we have to keep our minds open if we want to introduce new voice actors or even just get some experimenting going on with who they bring in. And yeah, pleasantly surprised with Chris Hemsworth here. I think the voice acting in general is much better than typical really bad just actors stepping in to do voice acting. It felt like it was handled really well here.
Yeah, Megatron's voice actor killed it. I thought he was the best one, probably.
Absolutely. Apparently, he was very invested in the character. He was a Transformers fan to begin with, and it's the guy from Atlanta. It's a great role for him.
Yeah, he's a really fun actor.
He
And
is. He is.
Yeah, he's Brian Tyree Henry. Loved him in, of course, like we've talked about, Atlanta. And he's he's in a lot of different film universes. He's in Godzilla, right? Because he's in the Universal Godzilla universe. He's also in he's in Marvel because is he a teacher? Right? Is he one of the teachers at Spider-Man school? Yeah. And then I want to say, is he also in DC? I don't know, but he's. Yeah.
We should know, but we don't.
Yeah, but
he's great here, though.
Oh wait, no, sorry. He's also in That's so. I forgot. He's also in Eternals.
That's him?
Sure.
Yes.
I believe you.
All to say, he's very active in Hollywood, and it's cool, really cool to see if even a fan like him do a fantastic job with Megatron.
His voice is great. He has a bunch of oh shit moments, like when he rips Sentinel in half.
I was not expecting that in a kid's movie.
No.
But they also don't really show it. They just show the wires and
it's
then they
well
show.
done.
Yeah,
it's really well done.
It doesn't feel too gratuitous, but it feels intense.
Yeah,
it's given the proper drama, I would say.
John Hamm is Sentinel Prime.
Another great performance.
Yeah,
I like the performance.
I'm a big John Hamm fan.
Yeah. I really liked Hemsworth as Optimus. I don't have an emotional history with Peter Cullen. Obviously, I'm aware of how much of a legend he is. I think Hemsworth did a really good job playing homage to Peter Cullen's voice. He wasn't doing an impersonation of Cullen, but he gave it the right amount of bass and what's the term, like gravel.
Yeah.
Yeah, gravelness in his voice.
Gravelness. I'm you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like he had the right approach. He changed his voice slightly for the voice, and you can hear him gain confidence as he goes along, just like his character as he becomes more and more of a leader. I really liked the performance from him.
Yeah, and any listeners that don't recognize the name Peter Cullen, it's like, look, any cartoon you've watched in the 80s or the 90s, Peter Cullen's probably been in it. If you watch Toonami, every single bumper that Toonami has done has been Peter Cullen. He did the very famous DBZ bumpers. Of course, he was very famously Optimus Prime for the longest time, even voice Optimus Prime in the Transformers Michael Bay films.
We get some other big names. Scarlett Johansson is one of the biggest names in this. I like her performance from this. As far as the other ones, I mean, I could listen to Lawrence Fishburne deliver exposition all day.
So cool.
Morpheus himself.
And just fantastic character design, like all around. Like, I feel like it fit the voice so well.
It did. Well, I think that's the next thing we can talk about. Like, what is the quality of the animation in this?
Smooth. Like, silky smooth.
I was telling this to Kai before you joined, Anton, before the recording. I did not realize Industrial Light and Magic animated entire films. I know they obviously what they do in terms of effects. I just didn't know they did this, and this is really cool to see.
Totally agree. Kai, from your perspective, do you feel like do you like live action Transformers? Do you like that more animated Transformers? Like, where do you kind of lean?
I would, if I could only choose one, I would rather have this than more like Bayformers. Like, as much as I love Bayformers, like having to sit through like 75% of the movie just being like human BS and then the rest of it being actual cool robots fighting, it's a bit much. This is like, because like in Transformers, I don't really care like about the humans. It's not the humans are there just to like give us like a human POV on the whole thing. But like I don't really need that. I just want it to be about robots. So yeah, no, I would choose this 100% of the time.
Everything in here was really well thought out. I liked the production design a lot. It was really cool to see Cybertron. The Art Deco look that they were going through, quite beautiful. All the colors really pop. So I watched this about a week ago with my 3-month-old daughter on my lap. She was riveted by all the colors. Kai, I sent a picture of this to you. She made it through most of the film before falling asleep.
Yeah, no, my daughter was not as excited. She was just making spit bubbles and then fell asleep in my arms.
I think she was riveted, I should say. It's hard to tell sometimes.
I think flashing lights. Yeah. I think babies do like flashing lights.
A lot of colors in this.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's nice to see Cybertron. I will say this. Everything looks the same in the interior of Cybertron. It's very difficult to tell like which direction is where, or like where they're going. You know, even during the race, I don't really know where the race was in terms of relation to how big the city was. Whatever. The action scenes are really creative. They're all well executed. I mean, it's robot on robot violence. And again, just coming back to how I feel about animation, you can just do a lot more with that in an animated film and have it look far less ridiculous than it would in live action.
Yeah.
But like, look, we've seen enough animated films to know that it's really easy to screw that up.
Oh yeah.
So it's, you know, again, kudos. Like, let's not take for granted that this looked as good as it did.
Yeah. I also want to add too that I think they were able to be much more creative with the fights because of the animation. So I think something that I really enjoyed was when they were fighting, a lot of times they'd like half transform, like the leg would turn into like a tread or something like that, and then they would do that. I think that that's something that they underutilized in like the Bayformers movies. A lot of times they just stayed in one mode, and it wasn't until like the fight was over that they'd switch over or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Again, you're limited sometimes by live action in a way that you're not here. One thing I thought about some of the fight scenes, when there's a lot of robots fighting each other, I got a little confused of who was fighting who in some of the long shots.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to pick too many nits because I really didn't have much to criticize about the action in this film. It's like you said, Anton, it's quite smooth, really well directed by Josh Cooley, and I want to give him a shout out. He is the same guy who directed Toy Story 4. So talk about a big film already on his resume. I don't think, Anton, you or I loved Toy Story 4, but it is a noteworthy film for a filmmaker.
Is that the one with the evil bear and the furnace?
No, that's 3.
That's the third one.
The Toy Story 4 had Keanu Reeves
and Gabby.
I might not have seen it then.
It's controversial with Toy Story fans. It's one of those films that it's really good until you assess it as a sequel.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, wait a minute. How does this work in relation to the other ones?
Yeah. When you think of it deeply like that, it's feels a bit unsatisfying.
But don't worry, Anton, because we're getting Toy Story 5 next year.
Oh, let's go. With, thinking about like the hope for a Transformers 1 sequel, like I think everything right now just says it's dead in the dumps, right?
They're not making one. This didn't make enough money.
I hope they change their mind after they hear this podcast.
Yeah. Would you watch an animated series that continued this?
Yes.
Honestly, no.
No.
I'm not going to watch a series. It's not to do with my prejudice against Transformers, Anton. It's the fact that I just don't like watching series anymore. I don't have the time.
Well, plus, like, look, it's tough because you're not going to get Chris Hemsworth for a streaming series about the Transformers. I think as much as I would also, I would also watch a series for this guy, but I think that we'd probably see a pretty big decline in quality.
Yeah, if they could get it anywhere close to like how the Clone Wars was, I'd be all in for it.
You know what the best thing about this film is, and why I hope we get a sequel film and not a series, though? This has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And my problem with a lot of these series, Anton, which we've talked about this ad nauseum on this podcast at this point, is none of them have an end. They just keep going and going. Remember, we both liked The Mandalorian and how it started, and then it kind of, where's it going?
So Paramount's doing us a favor, just keeping this a very finite film.
I just like how this is a tight, what is this, hour and 40 minutes? No, less.
Yeah, it's
hour 44.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's just tight, and it beginning, middle, end. It hits all these beats, and it doesn't. Yeah. It's not landing on a cliffhanger where it's like teasing a sequel. Sure, there could be a sequel, but it's not trying to fit into some larger universe. It's kind of a throwback movie in that regards.
It's very self-contained.
Yeah, it's
just like The Matrix 1 was.
Good point. Bringing it back home there. Dang, huh?
It all rhymes.
It's like poetry. A lot of people, they pronounce it the way they pronounce it in the film, but I do it differently.
Okay, well,
I call him Megatron.
Okay, well, bad takes from George Lucas aside, guys. Do you have any favorite Transformers?
No.
Kai, I'm sure.
Sorry.
Someone I would have loved to see who wasn't in this was Jetfire.
Okay. Soundwave for me.
Yeah, Soundwave and Shockwave are usually favorites. They definitely did him dirty in the Bayformers.
Oh, he was so bad in the
Yeah.
Bayformers.
Yeah.
That was probably the worst Soundwave ever.
Yeah.
Which one is that?
The one that's like, so it should be a boombox, right? And then in the film, I think it was just a satellite attachment. I think that was it.
No, he's the one with the dog that comes out of him. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
But like in the original series, the dog was a cassette.
Right, yeah.
I'm so glad I don't know what you're talking about. I've always been more of a Barricade guy, but
Barricade is solid.
Yeah, or Blackout.
Honestly,
Not
The-
Cup. You didn't
the-
like
the-
Cup.
No.
the Transformers 1 cold open is up there too with Blackout.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking
It's a
sick.
great cold open to a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That whole airbase attack.
yeah.
We should cover the first Transformers, Anton. It's a pretty good movie.
You got to cover all of them, to be honest.
Oh no. I'm
Start
just not. Sorry, man. I can't do it.
start with Transformers the movie.
You know what, Anton? That would give us an excuse to talk some Orson Welles.
Goodness gracious!
I
You're
believe
right.
who was he? The voice of Unicron in that.
Yep. As the voice of the planet,
Who do you think he could have been in this film?
I think he would have been a pretty cool Sentinel Prime.
You could have been one of
little
the
goofy Wells.
I would have loved it.
Like he would sound like Sentinel after 5 or 6 bourbons.
What? So he would sound like Don Draper.
It's toasted.
Oh
Man, I don't have anything else to add.
Yeah, it was just this movie is so fun. Like, are we ready to just rate this film?
Yes, I do have a quick thing though. So I got a question from a listener about why do you not do plot walkthroughs when you're discussing a film? This email said, sometimes I get confused because I don't know what part of the plots of your movies that you're talking about. I don't know if this is something we want to eventually start doing, Anton. This probably isn't the episode to discuss it, but it got me thinking. I just assume that people, when they listen to our podcast, they have seen the movies that we're talking about and they know them well, and we don't have to do plot walkthroughs. I mean, if there's enough demand for it, maybe it's something we can do.
Right.
Thoughts?
I think that I challenge any of our listeners, if you haven't seen this film, we are a spoiler-heavy podcast, and you probably should watch the film before you watch the.
We don't even give spoiler
episode.
warnings because we just
Right.
assume everyone who listens to us has seen the film that we're discussing.
And in fact, I would insist that people go to somewhere else to watch the film, because any stream, or even especially if it's something in theaters, that means that property is getting a watch, and that could mean something special for Transformers 1. So
Yeah.
I don't think the burden's on us for people to understand the plots of these films.
Yeah, when I'm listening to this podcast, I always avoid the ones that like I haven't seen the movie, because I'd be like I would just lack the context to like fully understand what you're talking about, and it just wouldn't make sense.
Unless you just wanted to hear Anton and I talk because you love
That's
us
true.
that much.
I do.
Yeah.
Also possible. So there's really no way to answer that question.
I think my vote is, if you don't know the plot, go
Well,
watch the movie.
Here's what I would say about that. There are many episodes where we do talk about the plots of films in depth because we feel that it warrants a discussion. The plot to this film,
I don't know, like it's
not
such
a lot. There's not much to it.
But doesn't it like almost ruin it if we have to over explain or even break down the plot? It's like, we just want to talk about the meat of things here.
Yeah. Yes. Good answer. It was a lot better than what I came up with. You want to give your ratings?
Let's do it. Kai, as a guest, would you like to go first?
Yeah. I would give this a solid A-. Very good movie. I think the only thing holding it back from like a perfect score to me is, I don't know. You know what? I can't even really think of a better reason to like not give it an A. I think I'm just gonna give it an A, actually, to be honest.
I love it.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only thing holding it back was like not seeing more Transformers that I liked in it, but like that's not really a reason to like dock it. I appreciate that they kept the story tight by like limiting the core cast.
It's lean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Anton?
I can go next. This is without a doubt an A in my mind. It's tight. It's beautifully animated. The voice acting is top notch. It's the way that the story unravels just feels natural. The moments are earned. This is great for longtime fans, but also new time watchers. I think this had everything that you could really want from a proper reboot of a series to be adapted for film. And it's just insane that the marketing of this was so poor that it did so horribly at the box office. Like, it's very clear that it was not the quality of the film as to why this suffered at the box office. Yeah, I only add this last bit. If you haven't seen it, go watch it and go tell a few people to watch this film too, because it deserves a watch.
For not being a fan of this franchise, I really enjoyed this. It's a really fun way to spend 90 minutes. It's a visual treat. It has some really solid voice work. It's a very simple story, but it's a very efficient one. It's one of the highest compliments I can give a film like this, because you don't have to be a Transformers fan to enjoy this film, like myself. There's a few things that I think the film could have done better. I mean, some of the action scenes, I found it a little difficult to tell who was fighting who. And I'm admittedly not an expert in terms of which Transformer is which. Not all the jokes landed for me. I forgot to mention the score. Really enjoyed it. That's actually one thing I will give all the Transformers, even the Michael Bay films, credit for. They've always had good scores. This really didn't deserve to fail. It was really done a disservice by the marketing. This is the right path forward for this franchise, and it's a shame that they're not going to continue it. I never want to see a live-action Transformers movie again. If they make more live-action Transformers movies, I will not see them. I would certainly see a sequel to this. I hope it gets a sequel. It doesn't sound like it's going to, but we'll see what happens. So I give this a solid C.
What?
Just kidding. B plus.
Right.
I really like this movie.
Dude, all that just to say C plus was crazy.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I wanted to see how you guys would react to that.
A solid C, as in go see it.
Yeah, no, it's I considered putting this in A territory. The only reason I'm not is, as a Transformers movie, I'm not going to rewatch this very often. It's not my cup of tea. Like I said, I am not a fan of this stuff in general, but it's a great execution on what they're trying to do. It really is.
Yeah, just even concept wise, just imagine if this same style of execution but for Beast Wars. That would be so cool.
Instead of buildings, it was in a digital jungle or something. That would have been dope.
That would be so sick.
Maybe they will listen to this episode and start that process.
Maybe. Well, Kai, thank you so much for joining us, and as always, we love having you on.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, guys.
That is it for this week's edition of Why Wasn't It Better? That concludes our discussion of Transformers 1. Anton, we're almost at the end of Season 8.
Season Ocho.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Next week's episode will be the finale, Harry Potter and the G of F.
Okay, well, let's get there, why don't we?
Did you do it, Harry? Did you put your name in the goblet of fire?
Oh, man. I can't wait to talk about that. Kind of a mess of a movie, but fun. A fun mess.
Barty Crouch.
Which one?
Ooh.
Oh!
Tune in next week.
Until the Marauders map runs out of character limits. What? Anyway, that will do it for this week's edition of Why Wasn't It Better? Thanks for listening, and see you next time.